welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who is a studio musician on Coconut Pete's Pina Colada Berg. It's Chris Kelly.
Hey, everybody.
So how was that recording with Coconut Pete doing Pina Colada Berg?
Well, he wasn't really too stoked about Jimmy Buffett ripping him off. Of course, this was several years later.
Yeah, this would happen later, but he knew about it.
He did know about it. Yeah, it was.
He sensed it.
He could feel it. He could feel it in his coconuts. Jimmy Buffett, who was a major player hater to Coconut Pete, knew he was going to steal his music. So it took him. He was a smart man, very underrated, very beyond his time. He was like Billy Idol in 1986.
He basically laid the pavement. And then
he put the gravel, and then Jimmy Buffett was the pavement.
Exactly. And then he put the lines down just as an added insult to Coconut Pete. So you play guitar on that. Did he work like Brian Wilson did on Pet Sounds, or what was Coconut Pete like in the studio?
He was very he puts off a persona that he doesn't really care, and he's more relaxed, but he's actually very much in depth. Sort of like Miles Davis on the piano. Like, he doesn't seem like he cares, but he's totally telling him what to do, what everyone else wants to do.
So it seems like improv, but there's a way to, like, you know how you seem like jazz, like good jazz can seem like improv, but they've done it before and they get into a good flow.
It's like Kids in the Hall. You think it's improv, but it's actually...
Got it.
It's already been pre-mapped out, rehearsed several times, shot once.
So is it like Spinal Tap where they have a basic guideline for it and they fill that in, but they know what the story is? Is that what Coconut Pete does?
A little yes and no. Sometimes he'll bring in something else, and then he'll talk. He'll want to add a little bit more drum, a little bit more guitar. But as far as Pina Colada Berg went, it was a lot of us just having a good time, and I'm very happy to be part of history.
Now, you sang some vocals on "The Crab Stole My Corona." What was that like?
Oh, it was originally "The Corona Stole My Crab."
Really?
It was based off of a time when we were at the beach. And we were so drunk, we actually thought that the Corona was taking this crab.
Hey, bring back the crab,
I went to go tackle the crab, and I actually hit the Corona instead. Boom. Crab took my Corona.
Crab took my... Oh, wow. That's a good story.
See? Coconut Pete and I, we went back way.
I appreciate that you guys cared enough about the crab to prevent its abduction.
Well, yeah. I mean, we were both strict vegetarians. I mean, we love animals, so... we're going to protect the crab over the Corona. Not only that, but I can't get drunk off crab.
Yeah, you're right. And also, Coconut Pete, he was a vegetarian, so he named his name Coconut Pete to support...
Yeah, well, as opposed to I Kill Polar Bears Bill.
Yeah, exactly.
That was his original name.
Or Beef Pete.
He met me when I was hanging out with Paul McCartney in 1972. Then I turned him into a vegetarian while we were hanging out with him and Linda.
Oh, so his original name was Crab Meat Pete.
Yeah. Oh.
And then it changed to Coconut Pete.
Well, he was I Kill Polar Bear Bill, and then Crab Meat Pete. Yeah. And then he met me, and then he turned into Coconut Pete.
I mean, there are stages to being a vegetarian. You kind of cut back to... Some people just eat fish. They don't eat beef. So he went from eating polar bears, which is a horrible thing to do. Horrible. To eating just fish and crab.
I don't know. Polar bears are a lot bigger than the average ones. I mean, you guys...
Yeah, but he went for the endangered ones.
He went for the brown polar bears.
Yeah.
There's only such a finite amount of those hanging out.
He's like, where are they? I'm going to shoot them. No, you can have these. There's overpopulation here. No, I only shoot the endangered ones.
So we went to Lagos to try to get the brown polar bear, and couldn't find it.
Is he the reason they were on the island and lost?
No, actually, that was another guy.
That was another guy. So we can say now that
was Jimmy Buffett. That's the reason.
Oh, that's why. Because that's why there's no one on the island, because the polar bears got loose and ate all the people.
They all left after he wrote his third autobiography. They did.
Have you ever blown out a flip flop?
I did actually. Yeah, I did. I remember. It was whenever I had the Old Navy ones. Yeah. Remember Old Navy was like 2 for $3,
30-cent flip flops.
I remember we got caught not on a pop top, but it was. I was on a rock. I don't know why. I remember I was
on a rock top.
It was on a shock top. Yeah.
That wheat beer. You blew them out on an orange that you were putting in the shock top.
Blue Moon was not happy.
A lot of people are going to be wondering why we're talking about Coconut Pete, and the idea behind this podcast is we were originally You originally pitched an idea to me about 2 years ago about movies with weird titles that are actually good, and then we transformed it into an idea called It's Not That Bad. So basically what this podcast is going to be about is movies that just aren't that bad. So,
it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Now you sound like me. I'm like Coconut Pete.
So when you're out and you're talking about movies, you're like, hey, this movie's, it's not that bad. So we looked at movies. We have 3 each. We looked at movies that have rotten scores on Rotten Tomatoes. So the critic and audience scores are rotten. It has to have under a certain score on IMDb, and the
6.5. I think is
and then on
it.
Metacritic, it has to have below a 60 as well. So basically, these are movies that are below average on IMDb, are rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and they're below what they should be on Metacritic. So these are movies that could be in the 50s, could be in the 20s, but they are generally looked at as rotten or below average.
They're seen as bad movies, and if you talk to people about films, they all agree that they are terrible films. But I'm in my opinion, they're really not bad.
They're not that bad. This is not that bad.
I remember the cell phone conversation we had, and you were just like, you kept saying that. I'm like, damn it, man.
It's just not that bad. So, I mean, if someone walked up to me and said, that movie's bad, I'll be like, I'm with you. I get it. But I like them.
Yeah, these movies are not going to be nominated for Oscars, although some of them are made by Oscar winners.
Yeah.
But there's just way too much hate on the internet and from critics for these movies, and it's like, I mean, it's not that bad.
All right, so let's jump into it. What's your first movie?
Sure. Mine is a film that a lot of people know. A lot of people talked about and they don't like at all. It has an IMDb rating of 4.7, 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 30% with the audience. 29 meta score.
29?
I'm talking about Mark's favorite movie, The Forest. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, oh, goodness. That movie's bad. That movie's that bad.
No, that movie is that bad.
That movie is that bad.
I tried to watch that. I couldn't do it.
It's that bad.
Yeah, I remember you calling it The Borest.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's a good line. The Forest, more like the Boris.
No, I'm talking about, although I would love to talk about The Forest for as 4 minutes that I saw that movie. I'm talking about Aliens vs. Predator Requiem.
The R-rated.
The R-rated version. No, they never made a PG-13.
No,
that's right.
They made a director's cut and an R-rated version.
Yeah, that's right. It's directed by the Strauss brothers, Colin and Greg. If you don't know history behind them, they're very visual effects heavy group of guys. They did The Day After Tomorrow, Constantine, 300, Jumper, Avatar, 2012, the Avengers movies, and Rampage.
Yeah, they're big. They're visual effects supervisors, correct?
Oh yeah, yes, they are. And they know what they're doing as far as visual effects movies go. Now, of course, Alien started out without visual effects clearly because they didn't have it at the time. But they had to go with the times. Of course, Alien Resurrection was terrible. Aliens versus Predator was. Ugh. I don't know how else to describe that movie, but
it's like the most mediocre movie you could imagine. It's made. The shots make sense, the plot makes sense, but it's not. It's just bland.
It's crap. I mean, well, the Aliens vs. Predator was complete garbage. Yeah. I mean, what Predator starts liking the girl because she has dreadlocks, and is like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah. So basically, the plot of Alien vs. Predator, right, is the Predators had a pyramid that they would unleash aliens in, and then they would go to the pyramid and they would hunt the aliens for practice. But then the aliens got too powerful. There's too many, so then they nuked it, right?
Yes, and somehow they wound up in outer space because then they attacked the ship in the first Alien movie, or I guess it goes back even further than that because wasn't there a Prometheus? So it has to go even further than that. So somehow that all made sense in their world. I didn't like it at all, but
it ended with a pred alien.
Yes, and I really enjoyed that character that they created. And that's what the Alien vs. Predator Requiem dominantly showcases, and it's really, really, really well done.
The visual effects and the practical effects of the aliens I liked a lot.
Oh yes,
as well.
Yeah,
so the Strauss brothers, I mean, the characters are they're flatter than flatbread.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was like they were trying to. I mean, it's 2007 when it came out. What was happening in 2007 at the time? You got to look at the different horror films. So they were trying to do kind of like a late teens, early 20s, kind of like a slasher movie. Because they said that they wanted to make it more like a horror film with like a sci-fi touch. So they did that. It did. I mean, they had the movie just kind of worked well like that to me. I mean, it didn't. I mean, the first one didn't work. The second one worked because I mean, it's great. And the things that I liked that they learned from their mistakes with the first Alien versus Predator. In the first AVP, she says, "You're one ugly MF," and then in Requiem, they did this smarter thing, which was they said lines to show homage to the
Get to the chopper.
They say "Get to the chopper," and the first line of dialogue is "anytime." Right? He's like, because the kid is about to shoot the deer, and he's like, the father leans in and goes, "All right, son, anytime."
Yep.
Which, as we all know from Predator, it's shot really well. It was shot in Canada. It's supposed to be Colorado. Very easy to use either one of them. And it takes place in a forest area, and it makes more sense because that makes more sense to have them duking it out there. The aliens looked great. It's visual effects heavy for that, and you have the aliens that look at the Pred alien is dynamite as well.
Kids get killed.
Kids get smoked.
A woman gets
oh my gosh,
infected with Pred bursters or something.
What would you call this? But
there's a word for them. It's on the Alien Wiki. I wrote it down actually. We'll look at it later. But yeah,
I'm sorry. That scene, I liked that a lot. Was like, because you didn't know what was going on because everyone was evacuating the town, and then the Pred alien just walks into the hospital, smokes the nurse because you're like, whoa,
yeah.
Just killed her, and then just walks into the rooms with all the pregnant women and just starts shoving whatever you say, like they're the little
Pred bursters or something,
just shoving them into them and into the pregnant women's mouths, and it's like, holy crap, like. It's pretty brutal. I wanted to say another thing that would, kind of boost this movie up to being like, it's not all that terrible was that, the cinematographer was Daniel Pearl. If you don't know who that is, he's the guy that started out by doing the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He also did one of my, favorite lesser known films, Full Moon High. And then in the 80s, he just did all of the great, 80s music videos that you can think of. He did, a lot of music videos for The Police. He did Billy Idol's music videos, John Mellencamp's Styx. And then he also shot, famously, November Rain by Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. That's an epic video.
Oh, gosh, is it ever. So that's the guy who did this movie.
You know what I like? Am I interrupting your chain of thought here?
No, I was going to talk more about the movie, about how it's not all that terrible.
Well, I like I like when the Pred alien and its little henchmen are running around town just running amok. Like, they're like a gang.
Yeah.
They're a gang.
Yeah.
Then when they attack the Marines and they wipe the Marines out, and like they're just sweeping they're going full Raptor, basically, from Jurassic Park 2.
And it's fun to watch it. It's just like, oh yeah. And then they go into like the steel mill, and then you see the Predator, like the humans think that they need to take down the Predator. The Predator's not worried about the humans. Yeah. He's trying to smoke out the aliens.
He's trying to keep the humans there so the aliens come.
And yeah. And it's just, it's just an all around not that bad of a movie.
I just like that there's a crew of aliens running around, just running amok. Like, they're a gang. It's a gang of aliens. And I like that Wolf is the name of the Predator. He comes to Earth. He's getting rid of all traces of stuff, so no one knows where they're from. Like, he destroys the ship. He puts the stuff on the bodies. But then a guy discovers them, right? So Wolf is trying to stop all these aliens. But he still has time to skin a human being and, like, hang him upside down. Yeah. It's like, Wolf, don't you have more important things to do than skin a human being for, like... That,
he's like, you know what? Ever since they called you Octopus, you gotten way too big for your blowing up device. You know?
Yeah. So he's skinning human beings. He's headshotting people. He's blowing heads off with his laser.
Yeah.
But his laser only works when he headshots humans. Like, he misses a decent amount.
Hey, one of the scenes I really like, I showed this movie to my girlfriend, and she said exactly